If you're looking for like outrage content where I'm just gonna blast somebody for 20 minutes and call something a scam, this isn't that video. I also think it's really important to make this video because I know what it feels like to see somebody on the internet and they have something that I don't have that I want, and then they give me an opportunity to work with them, and I think all my problems will be solved if I could work with them and understand what they understand about money, success, fame, whatever. And I also know how that feeling can be extrapolated and magnified when you don't have enough money to work with them. How it can feel like you don't have the keys to a door that would make you finally feel like you were okay, or like you were good enough, or like you could have something that you wanted, and just feeling like that door is shut in your face and all these people living the life that you want are like operating up here and you're down here and you will never be able to get there. I just have so much empathy for that. I've been there. I understand what that feels like, and coaching is helpful, but it is not like it's not a magic pill. So 5 years ago, I quit my waitressing survival job, and I had saved up money so that I could quit. And I also had money in my 401k, so I had extra savings that I didn't want to touch. And I was starting to run out of my savings. So this was a year later. I was living in a very, very small room in my friend's 2-bedroom apartment and putting all of my energy into writing a play. Ultimately, I wanted to be in film, so I don't know why I thought writing a play was like easier. That was dumb. But that's what I was doing at the time. I wanted to put on a play, and I knew that that wasn't going to make me money anytime soon. So to supplement, I had learned a technique that worked really well on me, how to like heal shit. It was very therapeutic and very psychological, and I tried it out on some friends and family and kind of honed it and got really good at it and thought like, oh, I can market this, I can make money through this on the side while I pursue my dreams. Then I came across this woman online who was a money priestess, and she was doing this talk through this other like spiritual community that I was a part of. And what I especially liked about her was how she spoke about non-attachment to money, and how she had made a lot of money, she had lost a lot of money, she had made a lot of money again, getting down to zero and like feeling that in your body and really allowing yourself to still like to freak out and then also realize that you're safe. What felt so enthralling about her was it felt like she found a sense of security in herself that most people don't find, and most people put out externally in money. So I was so hooked, and we set up a 10-minute like get to know you call, which went great because we got along, and also I wanted it to go well. Like I really wanted to work with her. I subconsciously thought like this is gonna fix all my problems, I think. And I booked an hour session before we started, like just to dip my toe in, and I paid a few $100s for that, which was, I had never paid anyone a few $100s for an hour of their time for anything, not even a doctor. So that felt like a stretch. And then that went well, and I told her I wanted to do the 6-week coaching program, and she actually didn't give me a price right away. She told me it was going to be in the low 4 figures, but that her spirit guides were going to tell her what the price was. And I was very new to the spiritual community, so when I heard spirit guides, I was like, oh, first of all, I have no idea what you're talking about. She came back to me after I filled out some forms that it was going to be $2,555. I know the spiritual community loves numerology. I love a good 1111 myself. And we started working together. I filled out a few things about things that I enjoyed, and she sent me a flower essence and a book on energy and money. And I would say, and I told her what I wanted to work on, the play and making money through my therapeutic coaching, I guess is what you could call it, is what I'm calling it right now. And the coaching calls were broken up into thirds-ish. A third was just like traditional coaching. Just, what do you want? How am I going to help you get there? Are you having an issue with something? How do we think about getting that thing in a new way? And that was honestly incredibly like helpful, because I did not have a history of anyone saying like, hey, I believe in you. You can do this. Let's figure this out. Oh, are you having trouble with something? Like, let's figure it out together. So that was incredibly like healing for me. The other third was conceptual ideas about the energy of money and detachment, which I found so interesting. Now, what I'll say is like, unpacking your attachment to money in 6 weeks is not attainable. Like, I didn't know that at the time. So afterwards, when I didn't figure it out, like, that's not her fault. I had unrealistic expectations, and I wasn't even disappointed at the time. I'm just looking back now, that was an expectation of mine. Like, oh, I'm going to work with somebody for 6 weeks and I'm going to figure out how to completely detach from money. Like, no, that's crazy. That takes so long. Years. This was 4 years ago and I'm still like, what the fuck am I doing? And then the last third was like more magic, burning candles. I don't remember if we lit incense or not, but like, writing an intention for something and then burning it. And that stuff does not work for me. Not at all. I don't really enjoy it, and I don't see any physical reality change when I do that. So that is not for me. One thing that worked, which is going to be so controversial, I understand every financial advisor in the world is going to tell me that I was dumb in doing this, and obviously don't do this unless you really feel like in your heart you need to. And then if it doesn't work out, don't come for me. But I was running out of money, and I had money in my 401k, and we talked at length about like security now versus security later, and what's my attachment to it, and what does programming say about my 401k, pulling out of my 401k. And I don't think I did it in the 6 weeks that we were talking, but she absolutely like planted the seed for me to start thinking about it. And ultimately I did pull all of my money out of my 401k, and it was a smart decision for me at the time. It ended up working out in a very magic way I can talk about on another video. So props to her on that. One thing that didn't work was I had ordered a vintage motorcycle I bought from a guy, and he was going to restore it, and he was taking months and months and months longer than he had quoted. And I'd given him a lot of money to restore it, and I was seeing nothing. He wasn't giving me the money back, and he wasn't giving me the bike. I had spent hundreds of dollars on Ubers because I didn't have transportation. I thought this bike would not take that long. So me and the woman, we got in the energy of empowerment, and I sent this text, and I was I made a declaration of I'm gonna get this bike in so and so amount of time, or I'm gonna get this money, and neither of those things happened. He continued to take months. I lost so much money on it. The lesson there is, when you're looking dead at the manifestation that you called in, because it was exactly what I wanted. I got tunnel vision, and I couldn't look 2 feet above the fucking bike and look at the dude selling it to me and say, you kind of seem shady as fuck. I'm not getting a good feeling about this. I said, nope, ignore. And I looked back down at the bike that I wanted, and I said, here you go, here, take my money. So don't ignore red flags right fucking in front of you just because you want to feel special because your manifestation is there. If we want to talk about now after the 6 weeks, how helpful was it? Well, the play was, I was writing that right before COVID, so I think we all know how that ended. But I didn't necessarily let it go because of COVID. I let it go because I realized, why the fuck am I spending all this time and energy on a play when I really wanted to make a film? And we never talked about that in the coaching. Like, I was always like pro play. I'm going to black box theaters. I'm doing table reads, doing all this stuff. And then I realized, like, I don't want any of this. And I put it all away, and it ended up being one of the best decisions I ever did. And I also did away with the coaching because I didn't enjoy it. And ultimately I realized, like, this isn't because I enjoy helping people in this way. This is because I feel like I need money because I don't believe in myself as an artist. And I also let that go and made a shitload of money after that in the most kismet way. So I do think I still could have got those lessons through other ways if I hadn't hired her. Again, going back to like not wanting somebody to feel like they're missing out because they don't have access to something. Like, everyone has access to the internet that is watching this video, and you can find lessons that we talked about one-on-one. I do understand that there's like a one-on-one aspect that is very special, but I don't feel like she gave me something so special that I couldn't find if the universe really meant it for me, that wouldn't come to me in some other way if I didn't have the funds to pay for her services. The biggest issue that I have, and this is not just with her, this is with coaching in general, is I went to coaches saying that I wanted something, and they, like, I was the arrow and they were the bow, and I told them where I wanted to go, and they just like juiced up, you don't juice up arrows, but whatever, they pulled it back farther. And we never, this included, and most coaching programs never take a moment to say, like, let's see how much of this is an authentic want and how much of this is coming from trauma. How much of this is coming from you felt small your entire life, or you felt insignificant and you just want to be seen, or you just want to be rich and famous, you want an ego boost. And you can have those things in a different area that you feel more passionate about. What I wouldn't have given for us to have a few conversations around why do I want this and what would it mean if I never got it, because that is such a huge indicator that it's not just about the thing, it's about how you feel about yourself. Is if you ask the question, what if you never get it? What if it never comes? What if that specific thing never comes? What if you never get the partner that you dreamed of? What if you never get the job that you dreamed of? If you feel like, oh, I'm a piece of shit, or there's something wrong with me, or super negative thoughts, like, that is a really good indication that you're just trying to fill a void and not necessarily an authentic want. That doesn't mean that you can't heal that and still want the same thing, but it's going to come from a more authentic place. Anyway, what I wouldn't have given for one coach in the beginning to start off a conversation like that, so that I could get to the root of my own authenticity quicker. It also brings up the question of how much of that is the coach's responsibility, because she told me, like, I knew what kind of coaching I was getting involved in, but I also didn't even know enough to understand that, oh, some desires actually aren't authentic. Some desires are just trying to like cover a wound. I had no idea of that concept. And again, when I hire a coach, I think they know more in the spiritual realm, in whatever realm, than I do. It would have been so nice if if other coaches had known that as well, because we could have gone farther by taking a step back and looking at some old wounds. I don't see a lot of coaches taking the time to figure out if something is trauma-based or not, that you have to do that work yourself before you pay a lot of money to have somebody help you go in a direction that you actually will find out 4 months later you don't give a shit about. Do I wish I had started the whole thing off by figuring out what I really wanted in the first place? Yes, although I did do that after on my own and got everything that I wanted in a very unexpected way. And it's impossible to know how much of that was based on our coaching together, because we didn't work on that, but we did talk about concepts, and how much of that was just me. I did a ton of work after we worked together on my own psyche and my own self-worth, which definitely helped. So it's a complicated answer, but I do not feel like working with her changed my life, or that my life would be worse off if I hadn't worked with her, or that I was missing out on something. I know how easy it is to feel like if I had X, Y, or Z, I would feel better about myself. And as somebody who has manifested a lot of shit, a lot of money, a partner, great apartments, trips, really cool jobs, those things don't change how I feel about myself day to day. How I feel about myself day to day changes when I work on literally just how I feel about myself. It's truly not about the external things, even if it is like this amazing coach that you think is just like has all the answers. They don't. You change your life. Other people, other situations don't change your life. Hope that helped.